What up, y'all? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? I know. It's been a minute, man. Welcome to another episode of Married to the Lakers, but the NBA is my side chick. It's been a lot going on, man. I've been touring, I've been bouncing around, but we got to get to it, man. Lakers were eliminated in the second round. No Luca. Come on, man. When Luca and Austin went down, everything is very blurry. Shout out to them making it all the way to the second round. Shout out to Braun for taking them through that first round. Shout out to Austin for playing better in the playoffs, even though y'all keep saying he's garbage. It looked like he's getting stronger and better to me because he was figuring out some things throughout that whole series, and he did all right. And I believe in Austin. He get better every year, so it is what it is. But now, finals. We're on the eve of the finals. I'm recording this the night before the finals start. But I want to address my Lakers stuff first, and now I'll give y'all a little bit of final stuff at the end. So let's talk about the Lakers. Let's talk about this offseason. Um, because there's a lot of players that are being talked about and a lot of things that I got to give you my thoughts. That's why I started the channel. That's why I started the channel. So, couple of things. Let's start here. The Lakers need to do something very specific. We have some cap space. We got some tradable assets within our picks, and we got some players that we need to figure some stuff out about. This is what we need to do. Um, the way I have been doing this and understanding this is I've been just counting the players. When we start talking about depth and how many good players are on your team and so on and so forth, I just started counting them. There's 15 players going to be rostered on this team, right? I like us rolling around at 14 with that open spot just in case we need some, for some wiggle room at the end. Even if it's like if you got somebody in the 15, they're not guaranteed or whatever. So I like that. I like us rolling around at 14. So let's just count the players that we have that we know will be there, and then we'll move around from there, right? Luca, that's one. Uh, Austin's going to be there, you guys. Let it go. It doesn't make no sense to lose Austin for nothing. We want Austin there. That's two. Okay. I swear that we need to bring back Marcus Smart. By hell or high water, we got to figure out how to bring back Marcus Smart. That is three. Jackson Hayes will be there. That's four. Um, uh, Jake LaRavia is five because he's under contract. Vando's under contract. That's six. Bronny's under contract. That's seven. Adu's under contract. That's eight. Right? Am I missing anybody? Because you see I'm doing this off the top of my head, you guys. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. I think that's everybody. That's eight players right there. Right? That's clearly not a championship team, and that's not enough. Not for shits and giggles. Let's add DeAndre Ayton in there because I'm pretty sure he's going to pick up that contract. So let's count DeAndre Ayton too. That's nine, right? Uh, that gives us nine players and 9 out of 14, so that leaves six spots open, right? Make sure I got that right. No, that leaves nine. Why I can't now? That's a damn shame. I need to take my ass to bed. It's too late. That's why I can't do 9 minus 14. Oh my goodness. Five players left. Okay. Now, within these five players, we got to figure out how to build out a team that is competitive and makes sense on the budget and makes sense in the margin and uh these boys need to be good. Now, a couple of things that needs to also happen while I'm talking about this that needs to be understood is how do I say this? We got to make the budget make sense. In the perfect world, I love us bringing back Rui and Braun. How much does Braun want? I don't know. That's why I didn't mention it. We know that Rui's going to come in around, let's call it somewhere between 15 to 22, right? And we don't have that much cap space. This is very, very important. This is very, very important. This is very, very important. The Lakers need a rim protector. I'm going to say that again. The Lakers need a rim protector. Why is that, BT? How do you say that? Because when you see this team sometimes having its offense is defensive mishaps where somebody gets past Austin, or they trying to pick on Austin out at the perimeter, or Luka, whoever they've decided that this is who they're going to challenge and try to get past. A lot of that can be made up for if somebody is on that back line playing defense that can block some shots. We don't have no shot blockers on the team. DeAndre Ayton does not guard the paint. Jackson Hayes, I love Jackson. He does not guard the paint. The reason I signed Jackson, even though I know he's a free agent, whatever he's playing in Slovenia with Luka, it's just he's too cheap. I think he's coming back. We need somebody to block shots. So I think along with needing somebody to block shot, the other thing that we need is we need probably two solid perimeter defenders. And I think we need those two solid perimeter defenders is so you can have interchangeable defenders. Because if Marcus Smart is out there by himself, that's a little different than if Marcus Smart is out there with, you name it, Herb Jones, Matisse Thybulle, Quentin Grimes, Lou Dort, whoever that other player is. If you got both of them on the court at the same time, I believe that helps tremendously for the workload of what Marcus has to do and a back line. So just picture this. I also think this team needs some nastiness. I'm going to call a spade, man. Hey, I'm going to call a spade. You need some dogs on your team. You definitely need some dogs on your team if we're going to have a backcourt that's more finesse, right? We need some nastiness, some protectors on the team. The other day, I saw Draymond say something very profound. Draymond was on his pod and he was talking about the playoffs, and he was talking about how James Harden was getting picked on in the season. He was like, Jalen Brunson kept pulling James Harden out and was just like isoing him and getting past him. And it's the middle of the playoffs. And James and Draymond was like, why is this happening? You could tell he was like irritated by it. He said, that shouldn't be happening, you guys. He's one of your best offensive players. He's carrying you on. Somebody should be picking that dude up. Y'all shouldn't let him just be out there getting cooked like that. Why are y'all letting that happen? Like, not is James Harden's fault. It's this team's fault that somebody's not picking up the slack on this, because this team clearly doesn't care about each other. We need a few guys like that. You need some nasty. I like Robert Williams. He's nasty. He rebounds. He blocks shots. Not for nothing. He be hitting that corner three sometime, but we ain't going to even count that. But he blocks shots. He rebounds. He be hurt a lot, but who cares? The dude. Injury, McSmidgery, McFatingery. Luka was healthy all season, and then him and also got hurt right before the playoff. So injury's gone. You need a little bit of luck. Jackson's a solid enough backup where you could take him and you could allow him to just play more. I'm good with Jackson playing 15 minutes, right? If he playing 15, 18, 20 minutes and what's name playing 15, 18, 20 minutes, that's good. I feel like that's a solid team. And if DeAndre Ayton's there, that's even better. Not like I'm trying to keep DeAndre Ayton, but I'm trying to shop that as I keep making more points. So this is what the Lakers need. I don't think the Lakers have enough good players. And I know that sounds like a simple concept, but I want you guys to understand what I'm saying. When Jared McCain goes to OKC, I'm like, how does this happen? They already have a lot of good players. Sometimes you just need good players. Even if they don't end up fitting your team or staying on your team, you could use them to trade for something else. But when you don't have not enough, let's go for shits and giggles. Let's talk about the Pelicans, right? The Pelicans and let's just talk about players who at some point in time, forget their contracts, they just had some semblance of some value. Jordan Poole, DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Zion, Jose Alvarado. You see what I'm saying? Like they had some semblance of some good players. So you could trade Jose Alvarado for some picks if they wanted to break up Trey Murphy into two good players. You see what I'm saying? There's like wiggle room. We don't have enough. It's Luka, Austin. You can't move Bron. You're not gonna move Luka, Austin, Bron. Them three ain't going nowhere. Rui, I want to get Rui back because we need the shooting. But you saw how much better this team got by just adding a good player, Luke Kennard. That means we need more of those, even if it doesn't fit. Because even if it doesn't fit, what I understand is offensively, defensively, I know we need defenders. I know we need defenders. I know we need defenders. But within the defensive aspects of this game, remember the Warriors. Remember the Warriors had like one of the better defenses in the league, but also what would happen is because you was working so hard when they were on offense, your team is chasing them around, chasing Steph around, they scoring everywhere, they defeating you, they hurting your mental. Like you feel defeated because every time you do get a stop, they get the ball back. It's like their offense was so good, it led into their defense. This happens sometimes. Sometimes the offense is so solid that they wearing you out before you would normally make that shot. But they would you kind of tired because you've been chasing them around the offense the whole time. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying you don't need to be able to guard nobody. I'm saying you need timely stops. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to go get 7 great defenders. I don't know if that's gonna be the makeup of our team, but that's why you need good players that can maybe you can make the matchup weird for somebody else. Um, example, the Lakers got about, let's call it, for shits and giggles, let's call it an even 50, right? I think it's a different number, but let's just call it 50. Let's break up the number 50 into, uh, let's call it 13, right? Or 12-5. 12-5 once, 12-5 twice, 12-5, 12-5, and 12-5. That's 4 players at 12-5, plus the mid-level at the 12-5. That's 5 different players making this amount of money. Now, is it going to obviously work out perfect like that? Of course not. If Rui's at 18 and if Rui's at, let's say we extend Rui, we give him 3 for 45 or 3 for 50, right? Um, we need to be able to extend control to some younger. We need to extend control for good players and lock in some youth. I love the idea of Braun coming back, but I think we need Robert Williams. I like us making some kind of. Let's slow down because I'm kind of all over the place. Let me slow down. This is a beautiful team to me. Luka Austin, right? Marcus Smart, Jackson Hayes. Remember, we counting. You move you Jackson Hayes, right? Watch. Robert Williams. No, no, no. Let's go start lineup. That'll make it even cleaner. Luka Austin. Marcus. Robert Williams. And that other player, I love that being somebody who could play defense at the 3. If it's Braun, it's Braun. That's fine. But if it was I don't know about the Herb Jones thing, but if it was Herb Jones or Peyton Watson or whoever it may be, so be it. But let's call it Braun. Let's call it Braun today. Let's say it's Braun at 20, right? And you still are able to figure something out for Rui. Now this is 6, right? Jackson Hayes. Watch me cook. Now I'm cooking. Right? Watch me cook. Jackson Hayes. That's 7 players. Jackson Hayes is your backup for Robert Williams, and Rui is your backup for Braun. Now stay there. Now what? Because I really only on the back end of this thing, on the back end of this team, I just named you 7 players. That means I got 7 players left. If the back end is whoever's the 25th pick, no, let's not even do that. Let's go Adu, Bronny, and Jake LaRavia. That leaves me 4 players. So who are these 4 players? And this is where it gets interesting, right? Notice I didn't say Vando. Notice I didn't say DeAndre Ayton. Why is that? Because if Ayton's making 8 million and Vando's making 13, that's 21 million. You take that 21 plus a pick and you convert that into another player. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Let's say that player is let's say it's Quentin Grimes. Let's say it's Quentin Grimes, right? So now you got Braun, Austin Luka, Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, a real rebounding shot blocking, what's the name? Jackson Hayes. Now you got Quentin Grimes, who's a 2-3, right? And you got Rui. That's 8 players. Now what, BT? Now what do we do? You take another one of those picks and you maybe can, if you can't convert somebody else, this is the other thing that I think we need to do. And I swore by this. The Lakers need to go take some risk and win in the margins. I love us doing a deal that brings in like a Bobby Portis. Does that make sense? Bring in like a Bobby Portis and take Dalton and take that. If Bobby Portis is making 13, 14, take the 4 off and maybe that 10, you fit that into the salary cap. You see what I'm saying? Like you fold that 10 into the salary cap because now you're just paying Rui. Let's say we're playing Rui 15. Let's say now we're playing 10 to Bobby Portis because we took off 4 because of Dalton, and you playing Braun. You see what I'm saying? The trade that you made for Grimes, you gave up a pick for that. You still got a pick left. Are y'all feeling what I'm doing? Right? So, but now I'm at 9 players, and these 9 players are Quentin Grimes. Uh, I got Quentin Grimes. I got Bobby Portis. And Bobby Portis can play the small ball 5. Right? So when Robert Williams can't play 5 or Jackson Hayes not playing 5, you put Bobby Portis at the 5. We ran Rui at the 5 sometimes, right? So boom, Braun, Rui, Austin, Luca, Robert Williams, Jackson Hayes, uh, Quentin Grimes. Like you see what I'm saying? Like you make the team work something like that, and then this is where it gets very interesting, because right now I'm probably at about 11 or 12 players. Right? Let's count them out. Robert Williams, Braun, Luca, Austin, Marcus Smart, Jackson Hayes, Quentin Grimes, Bobby Portis, um, and then this is where it gets interesting. Those other players on the end, Bronny's down there, a dude's down there, whatever. You gotta take some risk, you guys. You gotta take some risks. What's going on with Kenny Lofton Jr. or Kenny Lofton II, whatever his name is? Like a borderline, I ain't gonna say blue chipper, but you know, a dude that we saw give the league 40 before, a dude that we saw give some great players in the league a lot of problems. He's lost a lot of weight, and he just in China chilling. What's up with Cam Thomas? What's up with these are people that I feel like could be on vet minimums. You see what I'm saying? If you're taking a chance on Kenny Lofton for a vet minimum, if you got Cam Thomas on part of the tax player, you see what I'm saying? If you take if Jonathan Isaac about to get waived by Orlando, that's what I'm saying. That's the team I'm trying to build out. It's like now you got a lot of movable pieces and maybe some positive upside because you got if Kenny Lofton can if his ceiling plus Cam Thomas ceiling, but boy, look at that squad. Boy, look at that squad. I wish I was writing this all down and not going off the top of my head. But boy, look at that squad. I think it works in the cap. I'm, you know, now if you lose Braun, but that take Braun out of the equation, I still like this squad. I still like this squad a lot. I still like it because it's interchangeable. Okay, cool. Bobby Portis out. All right, Kenny Lofton. Let's see what you got. Uh, hey Isaac, you've been a great defender in the shot blocker your whole career. We know your offense is what's name, but you've been injured a lot. But okay, cool. Let's move some stuff around, and you got interchangeable pieces that you could try stuff with that you didn't take these big risk on as far as like contract wise. But you might have snuckily found some depth. You might have snuckily found some depth. That's not counting your 25th pick. That's not counting what a dude turns into, and that's not counting if Bronny gets better. You see what I'm saying? The back end of our bench, the players 11, 12, 13, 14, and maybe 15, they got high upside. And you solid between 1 and 9. That's what we need to be doing. I've been looking at it. I've been moving stuff around. I've been looking at the cap and Looking at the complaints, I'm like, I'm not worried about Austin's money because he got a cap hold. Okay, cool. What can we finagle Rui into? We need Rui shooting. The reason I go for somebody like Bobby Portis, because Bobby Portis is at like 10 or 13 million. And he's a great shooter too. Imagine a team that go out there and if you got Bobby Portis on one side, Rudy on the other side, Braun, Luca, Austin, right? Or if let's say Braun don't want to say Luca, Austin, Marcus Smart, Bobby Portis, Rui. That's a lot of shooting. That's a lot of threes. That's a quick team. That's a hungry team. But you gotta make conversions on DeAndre Ayton, Vando, Dalton. They can't be on the team no more. They have to go. Not only do they have to go because of who they are as players, just because we can convert them into something else. And if their salary if we go 3 for 1 or 2 for 1, then that other spot you open up, that's where you put the Cam Thomas in. That's where you put the Jonathan Isaac in. That's where you put the Lofton Jr. in. Somebody should be that Lofton's playing in Philly right now. I mean in China. Like what we doing, y'all? Come on, man. Talk to me, baby. Let's do that. Here's the I ain't gonna keep y'all long, man. It's just been on my mind. I've been looking at the caps. I've been looking at the moves we want to make. I really want Robert Williams. There's a world where maybe that conversation is more about Nick Claxton. Maybe. I don't love it though. I like Robert Williams. He's strong. I watched the playoffs. He gave Wemby some problems. He's strong. He nasty. I know he be hurt a lot. That's okay. You bubble wrap him. We up here talking about Mitchell Robinson. What if you can make a play for maybe it's not Herb Jones, maybe it's Matisse Thybulle, maybe it's not Quentin Grimes, maybe that's not the 20 million, maybe that budget doesn't work. But I feel like we need 3 to 4 players that are around that 10 to 13 million that are playing better than that. Marcus Smart outplayed his contract. DeAndre Ayton did not. Rui played right at his contract. LeBron played his contract, but if we get him on a discount, then he'd be playing over his contract. But the Bron thing is interesting. I don't know. I'm not telling you to tell Bron not to come. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you don't want to come, let's have some assurances. Vando gotta go. Do I hate Vando? No, but JJ don't like playing him. He gotta go. He's making $13 million, you guys. What if you could turn Vando into 2 players that are making 6? Do you see what I'm saying? What if you could take Vando and trade him to a team with the first, and now you just got $13 million? What if you could turn Vando into Bobby Portis? What if Vando and Dalton for Bobby Portis? It's probably too much, right? What about Vando for Bobby Portis and Jake and Dalton for Matisse Thybulle? And then you fill in those other blanks with those minimums. You go for high upside, but you solidify that 1 to 8, 1 to 9. Got to solidify that 1 to 8, 1 to 9. We got to convert some of these players. If Vando is on this team next year, we failed. If Vando's on this team next year, we failed. If Dalton's on this team next year, we failed. I don't care about the other pickups. I don't care about those. Dalton, Vando, got to be off this team. JJ does not trust them. We need to take those picks and turn them into something. So I'm going from 15 down. The 25th pick, get what you need. Hopefully high upside. Bronny's still there. Bronny's gotten better every year. I'm fine. Adu, Lofton, Cam Thomas, Jonathan Isaac. That's 6 players, right? That's 6 players. That means we got 9 left. Put them boys to the side and count me out 9 players. Luca Austin, Jackson Hayes, Rui, Robert Williams, Marcus Smart, Braun, 3 and D wing. That's 14 players. That's what we need. 14 players, leave that last spot open. That's what we need. That's the kind of movement we need on this team. Um, because I believe a team like that, you can interchange the pieces to make us a difficult matchup. While we're talking difficult matchups, let's talk about the finals real quick and we'll get out of here. You guys heard me talk about just a second ago making the matchups tough. I believe that the Spurs have a deeper team than the Knicks. I believe that the Spurs might even have um, maybe even a better team overall over the Knicks. I believe that the Knicks win. The Knicks are a little top heavy, but matchup issue. The Knicks have big players, right? Let's look at it. The Spurs got Champagny, you got Wimby, you got De'Aaron Fox, you got Castle, and you got who else is starting? I know Harper's not starting. Who am I missing? Champagny's at the 3, Fox is at the 1, Castle. Who's at their 4? Who plays 4 for them? I don't know. I don't remember. Um, because I know Keldon Johnson. Oh, is it Vassell? I think Vassell started quite a few of those games. Uh, but that's not the problem. The problem is Spurs beat OKC. Let me tell you, one of the reasons was a lot of the players that are on the Spurs were bigger, stronger, and faster than OKC. I think Castle gave Shea all he can handle because he a little bigger, a little stronger. Just enough to push him around, push somebody around in the playoffs. That's not gonna happen with the Knicks. I don't see any answer at all for OG Anunoby. I guess they're gonna put Champagne on him. That's gonna be a problem. I'm gonna tell you that the difference maker will be De'Aaron Fox. If De'Aaron Fox decides to be De'Aaron Fox, if he looks anything like that Sacramento version of De'Aaron Fox, this is going to scratch everything I'm saying because De'Aaron Fox is like that. Yeah, Wimby's great. I ain't got no problem on what I think Wimby will do. I have zero question on what I think Wimby will do. I think Jalen Brunson is the shot maker. I think Mitchell Robinson is going to be the rebounds between him and Josh Hart is going to be uh, powerful. I think Cat shows up in these kind of games. I'm not a Cat fan like that, but he be showing up. He showed up against Joker. He does this. He's been in big games against great players, and he might shrink a game or two, but he ain't gonna shrink the whole series. I can guarantee it. And OG and Mikal Bridges, if they find that rhythm that they've had, that they've been walking teams down with, Knicks and 6. Don't and that's and I'm totally disregard the idea of Landry Shamet having good games or Jordan Clarkson having a few hot games or uh, McBride having a few. I'm just totally ignoring that. I'm just saying just the size. When you tell me who y'all gonna match up, who's gonna match up against OG Anunoby? If you tell me that you're putting Champagne on him, then I'm gonna ask you. Then who's gonna deal with Cat? You gonna ask Wimby to keep running out there to guard Cat? Is Wimby going to keep running from in the? If Wimby's not in the paint, if Wimby's guarding Cat and Cat's out on the 3-point line, then who's guarding the paint? You see what I'm saying? I don't like this matchup for them at all. I don't like it. You got 5. You got a starting 5 that everybody can shoot. You go if Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, uh, Mikal Bridges, uh, OG Ananobi, and Cat are the 5 that's out there. They can all shoot. I Jalen Brunson and Shea's not a 3-point shot taker or maker to the level that Jalen Brunson is. Jalen Brunson will pull that off that pick, and he'll hit a lot of them. He's Brunson's nowhere near as good as Shea, but Shea needs to get to a very specific spot on the floor that Wemby can kind of bother you. Jalen Brunson don't need to be in there. That's why he's scored 61 on them before. Is Castle going to give him problems? But if you put Castle on him, then who's going to guard Bridges? You see what I'm saying? It's like I believe that the Spurs have all the answers that they need to guard these people, but whenever they do that, they mismatch somewhere else. If you put Castle on Brunson, then who's guarding Bridges? Okay, if you put Champagny on Bridges, then who's guarding OG? Okay, if you put Vassell on OG, he too small. If you put Wimby on OG, then who's guarding Cat? It's just like I don't like it for him. I don't like it. And this is probably even bothering me more. I don't like how the Spurs run their offense. I don't like this ramp. They sometimes very often fall into not giving the ball to Wimby or just shooting a bunch of threes. The only advantages that I see that the Spurs have is one is De'Aaron Fox and two is the schedule. Because there's 2 and 3 days sometimes between the games, it helps Wimby so much because Wimby be winded after one game. Wimby will come out and look like untouchable, like one of the greatest players that's ever played. And the next game he'd be tired as hell. And the next game he'll look great. And the next game he would be tired as hell. I haven't seen him just string together a bunch of amazing games in the playoffs, and that's probably because he be getting beat up. But this finals goes on for a really long time. So the schedule's helping the Spurs and that De'Aaron Fox. But that's it, man. I appreciate y'all. Married to the Lakers. NBA's my side chick. I will do another deep dive with you guys soon. We'll see how it all plays off. Maybe I'll come back on here and say some things before the draft. I believe we make moves at the draft. I'm very interested to see what we do at 25. I don't know if we go for it's kind of obvious. We're either going for a center or we're going for a 3-and-D wing. I think we're going for an athlete. You can't teach athleticism. So I think that's what we go out for. But that's it, man. I love y'all. Follow me on everything. If you're in LA, pull up on the show. And that's it. It's your boy, Kingsley.